halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli is one of the most recognizable musical verses in our history. It's the opening to the Marine Corps hymn. The United States Marine Corps has been instilling fear in our enemies and demanding respect from our allies since 1775, all around the globe. With the 243rd birthday of the United States Marine Corps just around the corner, let's take a brief look at the history of our beloved Corps. November 10th, 1775 is when our Marine Corps was born. Raised by a resolution of Continental Congress to raise 2 battalions of Marines to assist in amphibious landing from ship to shore and to keep discipline on naval vessels during the American Revolutionary War. On March 3rd, 1776, the first amphibious landing occurred in Nassau, Bahamas, on the island of New Providence. The famous raid was led by Captain Samuel Nichols, who was serving as the Marine Corps' first commandant at the time. We went in, we kicked butt, and we left. Is the beginning of amphibious landing doctrine in American history. After the Revolutionary War, not many Marines know that in 1783, the Marine Corps was disbanded. We'd won the Revolutionary War, but now we were broke, we're in debt, and we're a struggling new nation. We couldn't afford to keep it. So it was disbanded. For only 11 years though. In 1794, the United States Marine Corps was officially reestablished by the Naval Armament Act in preparation for a war with France. Let's look at some notable events in our Marine Corps history. To the shores of Tripoli. It's in the very first verse of our Marine Corps hymn. This is in reference to Lieutenant Presley O'Bannon getting presented the Mameluke sword for helping the Libyan government get rid of the Barbary pirates. In 1801 to 1805, the President of the United States of America sent in the Marines to Libya. We chased pirates across the desert and we kicked their butt pretty good. The Libyan government was so happy and so thankful, they gave us a beautiful sword decorated with a pearl handle and everything, and presented it to Lieutenant Presley O'Bannon. To this day, that sword is still worn by officers. You know it as the Mameluke sword. Moving on to the Mexican-American War. Non-commissioned officers wear a red vertical stripe on our trousers. This is to signify respect to the lives of the non-commissioned officers lost in the Battle of Chapultepec during the Mexican-American War. It is said, according to Marines.mil, that 90% of the non-commissioned officers and officers that fought in that battle were killed. Moving on to the first Great War, which was supposed to be the last Great War, World War I. The Battle of Belleau Wood. At some point in your Marine Corps career, you might have been called a devil dog. This term stems from a German term called Teufelhunde, which literally translates hounds from hell. Belleau Wood is located in France near the Marne River, and the battle started off this way. Marines are on one side of a grain field, and the Germans are on the other side. The Germans are advancing towards the Marines, and we wait until they're in 100-meter distance before we start dropping them like flies. The Germans have never seen this kind of accuracy before, so they retreat, fly off into the woods. The Marines chase after them. These are no ordinary woods, they are thick. There's wait-a-minute vines everywhere, it's horrible, it's dark, it's like the Black Forest in Harry Potter. Okay? Well, we went in there, we got in there pretty good, hand-to-hand combat, and by the end of it, we defeated the Germans. The French couldn't do this themselves, and they actually nicknamed the wood of the Marine Brigade afterwards. From then on, you know yourselves as devil dogs. After World War I, which we thought was going to be the last Great War, it was called the Great War, we went on to World War II. Everybody knows that on the European front, the Army was taking care of things, and things like D-Day, fighting the Germans. Well, on the Pacific Theater, the United States Marine Corps was going island hopping, island to island, taking care of the Japanese after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. This is where we get heroes like John Basilone. John Basilone was a Marine who fought on Guadalcanal. He was a machine gunner, and he manned a machine gun nest and ran ammo to and from different machine gun nests throughout the night. By the end of the night, he killed some odd 400 Japanese soldiers. He was awarded the Medal of Honor. Mount Suribachi flag raising. You can't go to any Marine Corps installation without seeing this iconic image. It was raised on February 23rd, 1945. Moving on to the Korean War. The Korean War was a significant event. Although it was something that we didn't win, we did have the second amphibious landing of the Marine Corps' career. Major amphibious landing at Incheon in 1950. There was a thing called the Pusan Perimeter. And at the Pusan Perimeter, we were kind of at a stalemate. We couldn't go any more north. So what the Marine Corps ended up doing was going around, doing an amphibious landing that they prepared weeks for, landed at Incheon, and skirted around the flanks of the North Koreans. Gave the Americans and South Koreans a distinct advantage at that time in the war, and we were able to push north. Moving on to Vietnam. Vietnam, from 1965 to 1975, over 500,000 Marines served in Vietnam. 13,000 ended up losing their lives, and about 50,000 were injured. During this time, we've got a hero, Marine sniper, Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock, who is famous for having 93 confirmed kills. Now, if you don't know anything about a confirmed kill, it has to be confirmed by a third party, usually an officer. Knowing officers that we work with, they're never around, are they? No. It's estimated that Carlos Hathcock actually killed between 300 and 400 individuals. On one of his missions, he crawled 1,500 meters behind enemy lines, inch by inch, slept overnight for days at a time, and waited for the perfect shot where he took out a North Vietnamese general. All the general's people were running around looking for him. He was crawling inch by inch back to his exact extraction point, 1,500 meters outside the wire. They never found him. At one point, Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock had a $30,000 bounty on his head. Made it out alive. Move on to the First Gulf War. First Gulf War, the Marine Corps was instrumental in defeating the Iraqi army. We went in there and took about 100 hours, but we were in and out about 100 hours for that initial assault. Moving on to September 11th, 2001. Many of you are alive at this time. You remember we go into the Afghanistan and Iraq war for the first major war of our lifetime, which is still going on in some parts of Iraq and Afghanistan. And then we got the Battle of Fallujah in 2004. It's the first time that Marines fought house to house, street to street, in intense urban combat since Hue City, Vietnam. Marine Corps today. Today there's over 180,000 Marine Corps personnel all across the globe. We practice everything from amphibious landings to air-to-ground air combat missions to ground combat missions and more. We're continuously developing strategies on how to win wars. It is for the future of the Marine Corps, it is our brotherhood, our true grit, and tradition that keeps us alive. The Marine Corps is the most recognizable branch of United States military service. Wherever you go, everybody knows who a Marine is. We're not an Army, we're not a Navy, we are Marines. Since 1775, the Corps has been the hallmark of American military might. From the birth of the nation, to the struggles of uncertain times, 2 world wars, and countless controversies. The Marine Corps has fought in every clime and place. We've brought the wrath of the heavens down on our enemies, and we've helped other nations out in times of crisis with our humanitarian efforts. Marines of the past and the present are paving a way for the Marines of the future. Thank you.